theories, theorizing, wondering what would happen if something occurred. We all have these thoughts from time to time, and today we're going to take a look at 3 theories. First off, we've all heard that relatives will sometimes come back around the moment of their death to tell a loved one final thing. But when a recent researcher took a look at all of this data, he realized that only one type of relative ever really visits. It's an interesting story. You're like, it doesn't make any sense. Well, you'll get it. You'll listen to the episode, you'll understand. And then, that's the paranormal part. Then we're going to take a look at a little bit of true crime. Why is it, and this is so bizarre, why is it there is a huge boom, a seemingly massive uptick in the amount of female child molesters? And then we take a look at the theories of science, specifically the science of getting high. What would happen if an alien species got their hands on some good old Earth drugs? Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great day too. Hope you guys are having tons of fun doing whatever you're doing, and I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. We're going to have a bit of a weird episode today because I'm going to be completely honest with you. I recorded an entire episode. It's around an hour long, but I think I'm going to release it as a bonus episode, which means it'll just come out later over the weekend or something like that. While I really like the episode, I really had a lot of fun recording it. It was more about me, more about like personal stuff with me, not stuff that's going on now, but like I talk about all the companies I've sued, and it is funny and it is entertaining, and you'll learn a lot about how many lawsuits I've filed and have won over the course of my life. But as I sat back reflecting on it, I recorded this episode and then I went and played Battlefield 6 for a while, and I was thinking about it. I go, that's a good episode, but I think I'd rather do a bit of a more regular episode and have that as a bonus episode. So you're like, okay, fine. Why are you giving this disclaimer? Well, this one's going to be a short one. I guarantee it's going to be a short one. I'm recording it. I'm starting at 11 p.m. I got to work tomorrow. So I got to record this and edit it. We're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it snappy. We're going to talk about some theories that I've recently been looking into. But you know who loves to help me with theories? You know who always has a Sherlock Holmes hat and a magnifying glass up to their eyeball? Running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Everyone give it up for Keegan and Tab. Woohoo, yeah, William. Like, it's a quiet clap because it's late at night. I don't want to disturb my neighbors. Woohoo! Keegan and Tab are coming back from their recent trip down the necrophile path. I don't know why they did it. It had nothing to do with the show. They just love dancing with dead bodies. No, yesterday they were with us for the necrophile episode. They're going to be back here today. They're actually in the bonus episode as well. But anyways, Keegan and Tab are the hosts of the Midnight Oil podcast. It's another paranormal podcast. The dastardly duo of the dark realm. They cover paranormal stuff as well. You can check out their podcast. I'm going to be doing an interview with them soon. They're going to be interviewing me for their podcast. I'm looking forward to it. And they are supporting the show through the Patreon. That is why Keegan and Tab are going to be our captains or pilots this episode. If you guys can't support the show financially through the Patreon or the merch store or anything like that, I totally understand. I really do. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. That helps out so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. That is how you can help the show grow. Okay, Keegan and Tab, we're doing a little quick roundup one. Really hoping this episode's 30 minutes or less. And there'll be a bonus episode probably coming out tomorrow. So I'm looking for. We're keeping it short. We're keeping it brief. So Keegan and Tab, let's go ahead and toss you guys both the keys to the world famous Carpenter Copter. We're leaving behind Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Why don't you fly us out to a college? We land at this college and we're just in time for this big symposium. I don't know what that is actually, now that I think about it. What is a symposium? I've just heard that word before. I honestly don't know what it is. I think it's like a science fair for adults. I think it's where people come with different ideas and stuff like that. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but there should be a science fair for adults. But anyways, I think that's what a symposium is. We show up and there's 3 professors there and they're all going to give these lectures. I'm like, get out of the way, dorks. Let me handle this. Let me take over. I'm pushing them. They're clearly just walking out of the way. They're like, yeah, sure, we don't want to do this. I walk up behind them, push them hella hard. They're like, I was getting out of your way. I go, listen up, nerds. We're going to be talking about real stuff. I don't know what that guy was going to talk about. He's about to present the cure for cancer. I pushed him down. He's all in a coma now. He won't wake up for another 30 years. Let's talk about ghosts. And the audience is like, yeah, ooh. Speaking of ghosts, I'm pretty sure that guy is one now. I'm pretty sure he's dead. I recently came across this. A user on Reddit going by the name... Well, never mind. His name is nothing but binary, but on Twitter he goes by Oxtars. He had a little worm in his brain one day. He goes, you know what? I want to research something. I want to research ghosts. What he did was he found this, it's a book. It's a book that was written about, it's called Phantasms of the Living. Book 1 and Book 2. They're actually available for download on archive.org. There are these huge collections of ghostly phenomenon. But what he's focusing on, and I think this one might be the book's focus as well, it's the story about, for example, you are in China. Your grandma is in New York. And one night you wake up and you feel this cold chill over you. You kind of start to become overwhelmed with emotion. And there at the foot of your bed, you see your grandmother, your kindly old grandmother, who you haven't actually seen physically in a couple years. But she looks fantastic, right? You go, wow, Grandma, did you lose weight? Wow, Grandma, did you put on some makeup? Starting to get turned on. You're like, ooh, Grandma, I never noticed you had such succulent thighs. Grandma's like, stop it, you pervert. And then she blushes. She goes, yeah, you probably should have visited another relative. I didn't know I was going to turn you on, but you sicko. But anyways, I just want to let you know that I'm dead. She wouldn't say it that menacingly, and you'll be dead soon, too, as I strangle you. She appears, she goes, no, I just want to let you know that I always loved you, I was always proud of you. Except for the time I caught you sneaking pictures of me in my changing room. No, I just want to let you know that, I'll be leaving, but don't worry about me, everything's totally cool. And I love you. And she fades away. We hear these ghost stories from time to time. I come across them a lot. I don't really cover them on the show because it is very common. Not as common as like a nut falling from a tree or something like that, but the world of paranormal is pretty common. Sometimes it's in a dream, but it's the most realistic dream you've ever had. There's no mistaking you as you're experiencing it. This is your loved one coming to visit you. We have these stories of relatives visiting their loved ones. We've even covered stories, like I said, we covered the weird ones. This dude, I love this story, we covered it a long time ago, put it in the show notes, but this guy was like visited by this girl, or he had a dream about this girl he used to go to high school with, and she visited him and was like, I'm dead. It's the same type of thing. And he goes, I barely knew this girl. Like, I knew she went to high school with me, we never really interacted. But she came to him. And I've always wondered, was that like a crush? Did she secretly love him? Or was he the only person who was receptive to it? Maybe she was reaching out to others, but he was more open to the idea of the paranormal. Fascinating story. I think about it when I think about stories like this. Well, anyway, so what Oxtars did was he took a look at 674 ghost cases that take place around the time of the Victorian era, which is when these books came out. The Phantasms of the Living was published in 1886, so this would have been ghost stories of that time. And he took a look at all this data, and he goes, this is what's called a crisis apparition. It's where a dying person appears to a loved one who's still alive. The dying person appears at the moment or near the moment of their death. And generally, there is a geographical difference. It could be across the planet, it could be across the street. But the idea is that one person is not in the room with the other. Somebody dies and a ghost appears, basically notifying the loved one of their death. standard stuff in the world of the paranormal. Sometimes in a dream, sometimes a physical apparition, but a visitation or a crisis apparition. This is really fascinating because he really broke it down, and if you're really into numbers and nerd stuff, then you might want to take a look at his actual survey that he wrote out. But he goes, I try to control for as many variables as possible. He goes, I needed to have the time that someone experienced the apparition, as well as the time of death. He goes, if one of those was missing, because he's trying to match something up, he wants to know, when did the apparition happen? When was the time of death? Okay, I got that. Then he looks for those stories where people, this is why he narrowed it down to 674, those stories where people don't know the person's dead yet. Like if you knew your grandma died in New York and then 2 weeks later you had that dream, it's a beautiful thing. It's sweet. I'm not like knocking it. But that's not what he's looking for. The person who's being visited doesn't know that this loved one has died. Maybe he knows the loved one is sick, but doesn't know that that person has actually passed away. And then he said the person actually died. The apparition came from the dead. He weeded out the stories where someone was deathly ill, which we actually have a story like that coming up. I almost covered it today. But someone was deathly ill, the apparition appeared, or something of that sort, and then the person pulled through. They lived. So that does happen, but he goes, that's not what I'm looking at. When he broke it down, the 674, he weeded stuff out. He got 110 of them. And he saw a super interesting pattern. And I don't know how to take it. Really interesting. Out of those 110, 94 of them was a child being visited by their dead parent. Man sleeping at home. Or it doesn't even have to be sleep, right? I keep using that. A man is visited by the apparition of his father, who's saying goodbye to him. The dad says, hey, just want to let you know I love you. Maybe they don't even say it. Maybe they just visit, because, there's going to be variations to the story. And the son doesn't understand, and then a couple hours later, the son gets a phone call, hey, your dad died. 94 out of this 110, 94 of them, a parent visited a child. 16 of them was a dead child visiting their parent. And again, this would have been at the time of death, before the parent knew that the child died. And a geographical distance, and again, it could be very small. It doesn't have to be all the way around the world, but 94, parent visits a child. 16, a child visiting a parent. And he goes, this doesn't really make sense. He said, theoretically, it should be 50-50. It should be 50-50. Unless there's a reason why. He said children saw their dying parents almost 6 times more than parents saw their dying children. Why? He doesn't know either. He goes, it's a possibility that the people who are writing in their experiences were adults themselves, and they were writing in about times that their elderly parents visited them. He goes, it could be a bias like that. But, he's trying to control for all this stuff. My friend Sabine, I told her about it. And other people have said this too, because, I'll talk about these stories in real life to friends of mine. A couple of people said, well, parents more often die before their children, so the sample group would be bigger. It's more likely that a parent will die before their kid, and then a kid will die before their parent. And yeah, that's true. And you would assume that that would skew the sample group, but Oxtars pointed this out. He said there was one case that showed that a child was dying, and they did visit, as a ghost, as an apparition, 7 different people. But none of them were his parents. This child appeared before 7 neighbors, and I don't know if it was all 7 were just in a group. They're just playing rummy or something like that. They say, boo, I'm dead. I'm a dead kid. Isn't that sad? Enjoy the rest of your card game. He visited 7 neighbors and his own dog, but he never visited his parents. So what is going on? That's a really interesting study he did. Like, this is the type of stuff I love. He goes, it should at least be 50-50. even if you accounted for parents die more often, even if you accounted for most of the people writing in were probably between the ages of 30 and 50 was his estimation, and their parents had already passed on. But when he's controlling for as much stuff as he can control for, he goes, it doesn't even come close to 50-50 at all. You can check his work, too. I mean, he did a huge write-up on it. It was fascinating stuff. I'm kind of probably doing it a disservice, throwing it in on my Extra Fest episode, but I've been thinking about that. I have a theory. And this applies to me and my parents. I don't have kids, but this is my thing. I have a tendency to think my parents are too busy. They don't want to talk to me. They're doing something fun or focusing on something. I'll call them later. I'll email them later. I do that all the time. I've been doing it my whole life. And I think kids do that. I don't think a child, especially childless children. I don't have kids. I don't value the phone call from a child because I don't have any, so I don't know what it feels like. I know my mom and my dad are always super excited when I send them an email or call them up, and they may be busy. And they may say, well, I really can't talk right now, but what's going on? Everything okay? Parents love to hear from their kids in a healthy family environment. I know, unfortunately, not everyone has that, and some people have horrible parents, and that's one of the big tragedies of the world, honestly. But I don't understand the value of a phone call from a kid because I don't have any. But I'm sure they love it. And the reason why I'm saying that is that a parent realizes how important a connection is between them and their children. Because it's this bond that they just can't ever turn back on, right? You were not a parent, and then the next day you were a parent, and your life's completely different. That kid knows nothing different, right? It's just his life. And so a parent would want to appear to their children one last time if they could, just to check in on them or say, hey, don't worry about me. Look at how healthy I am. I'll be good now. I'm doing great. I'm no longer in pain. But children, we don't have that. We don't have that at all. I would have never, honestly, I never thought of, when I die, I'm going to go visit my parents. It never even occurred to me. I've said stuff like, my ghost is going to walk at the bottom of the ocean. I want to see all the crazy stuff that the human body can't do. My plan is to go back in time. Jason, ghosts can't do that. Well, you don't know that. I want to go back in time and see myself all the times I've been sick and shrink down and go into my own body and see what was making me sick. I'm like, oh, you loser. Oh, you just have diarrhea. I'm all surfing on the poop. Wee, look at me. I'm a ghost. I'm all throwing up. Whoa. Ghost comes out. Why not? I've said that in past episodes. I've said that stuff in real life. It never occurred to me. I remember one time I thought I was going to die, and I've had some pretty close calls, but this was the night I woke up and my heart was beating so fast. I could see the shirt move. It was insane. I honestly thought I was dying. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, and I called up 911. They were sending the ambulance out, and the person staying on the line with me, and the only thought in my head was, I want to talk to my mom. That's actually super common when men are dying, when men have been grievously wounded and think they're going to die or are dying, they almost always cry out for their mother. You hear it on battlefields, you hear it at murders. It's quite bizarre. I mean, I love my mom, right? And I felt that. I remember it was like 3 a.m. It woke me up. My heart was beating so fast. Doctors have always been shocked. They go, you have anxiety when you wake up? That's always why it's been really hard for them to treat it. Because they go, so you wake up anxious? And I go, yeah. Like, I used to describe it as, it's like waking up and you're hearing a jet turbine turn on right next to your head. That's what I felt. They go, that's not normal. Most people get anxious. They don't start anxious. But anyways, it's like 3 a.m. It's cool night down in Sacramento. And I was standing out on the balcony of my apartment complex, and I was just, I almost said that to the 911 operator. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call my mom. I got to talk to my mom. And I guarantee if I said that, she would have understood. She would have heard people say that before. Men and women say it, but it is very, very interesting that men, when they are dying, will almost always cry out for their mother. You're like, Jason, how do you do this? How do you take a normal ghost survey story and then fill it in with the most depressing real news possible? Yeah, if you watch a lot of murder videos, which I don't watch a lot of murder videos, but they do cry out for their mom. I remember I was reading an article about Facebook's censorship group. You had a group of people who worked at this building in Texas. It's a really, really fascinating article. I'll see if I can find it. But when they were using humans, and they might mostly use AI now, but these guys and girls that both of them worked at this big building in Texas, you'd go in your entire shift to be looking at videos that people reported to decide whether or not it should be taken down or not. And the guy said, he goes, I started my day off one morning by clicking on it, and it was a man getting stabbed to death on video, and he was just calling out for his mother. And the worker could never get that out of his head. Imagine if your workplace was you looking at all the worst stuff. All of the worst stuff, things that people post and other people report it, and that's your entire shift. A lot of mental health issues there. Because you'd go to work, you'd watch child porn. Someone reported it. And this one guy said, he goes, there was a video that was reported so many times. He goes, and we all saw it, and we kept getting it taken down, and then someone else would re-upload it. And this is why they have a lot of automated systems now. He goes, it got to the point that when you got a report for a video and you clicked on it, you recognized the wallpaper and you shut the video off and you just deleted it. Because we knew what it was. We had all seen it too many times. Horrible stuff, right? You're like, Jason, just tell a ghost story. So we're in the symposium. We're done with that ghost theory one. I recommend taking a look at his work because it is really interesting. And here's the thing with these theories on this theory episode, I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say about this stuff. Super fascinating. Now, we're already at the 27-minute mark. I only wanted this episode to be a half hour. Now, these next two ones I might go through a little quicker. The second one is something that happens all the time. I watch a lot of true crime stuff on YouTube. I love true crime. And it does seem, I'm just going to jump right into it, it does seem that the rate of female child molesters has exploded to a unknown degree, that it's something we never thought was possible. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And here's the thing, I'm not only a true crime junkie, I've been a true crime junkie since I was a kid. And I've been reading about this stuff for a long time, and it was almost always a male crime. It was a crime that men committed. To the fact that it would be unheard of for a woman teacher or a woman caretaker or a woman nurse or whatever to be caught with this. It would be the biggest scandal. So why is it happening? Like I said on a recent episode, a woman just got 51 years, deservedly so. She molested two 12-year-old boys. She got 51 years in prison. Now, that's another thing, right? And that kind of might give us a clue as to what's going on. The sentences are starting to match up to a male offender. But if you look at the YouTube comments, let's step back a second. If you look at the YouTube comments of these videos, people are always posting the same thing. They're questioning the same thing. Why is this happening so much? Another one? I mean, it's literally every day there's a new video on a different female sex offender. Now, I'm not saying it happens every day, but it's happening a lot. Or is it? It's happening a lot more than it used to. Or is it? This is really interesting because I remember reading an article a long time ago, probably about 15 years at this point. And even then, they were asking, why is there a rise of female sex offenders? It's way bigger now than it used to be. You'd probably hear about it once every couple months. Maybe. Now it's once a day, a new video, a different channel, covering a different case. I read this article a while back, and they said, and they're talking about, interviewing people about why are there more female sex offenders? Are they offending for a different reason? Is it passion instead of, which is a disgusting word to use, but is it some sort of lust, that might be a better word, than power? Is it power-based like a lot of male sex offenders? Do they actually think they're in love with these boys? And sometimes girls, right? Sometimes women are molesting boys and girls. Obviously, sometimes men molest boys and girls, but you go, is there a different logic behind this? Why are they doing this? And what's interesting, this article was doing this write-up, and they basically said, this is what's chilling about this. There is not increase. There is not an increase in female sex offenders. There is not. The amount that you're seeing today, and this article was 15 years ago, and it still would apply for now. This is so kind of scary, because it's a theory, but it makes sense. There's not more female sex offenders than there used to be. It's the exact same amount. What is going on is that for the longest time, you'd have a 12-year-old boy get molested by his science teacher. And it messes him up, right? He has a really hard time, like, what's going on? Like, do I love her? Am I married? Like, and sometimes these women are married. So now you have a boy who's not only dealing with his first sexual experience, but also the idea that he's having his wife cheat on her husband. He's probably met the husband. He's probably met their kids. And he's having to figure out, like, whoa, what is going on? You have all of the weird feelings that come from the sex part of it, and then all the weird feelings that come from the emotional part of it, and then the guilt. It's a lot to lay on anyone, right? Just the cheating part. Imagine if you were having an affair, you were sleeping with someone who was married. Imagine that weighing on you, and then imagine you're a 9th grader. But anyways, 20 years ago, that kid tells his parents, because a lot of times they start doing really bad in school. They're having a hard time focusing because everything's falling apart. This person they trusted is doing these odd things to him. He tells his parents go to the cops. The cops meet the teacher, and they go, man, when I was a kid, teachers didn't look that good. This kid's lucky, if anything. And that happened a lot. The prosecutor may take a look at the case and be like, well, how bad could it really be? She slept with him a couple times. Is that really wrong? Look she's a hot woman. If I was a 12-year-old, when I was 12, I wish a woman took me like that. And very common to have that attitude. So they're not going to pursue the case. And maybe they do. But for the most part, they're just like, boys will be boys. And that boy's lucky. He's getting an early start. Not looking at all the psychological damage. What happened was, this is this theory I read in this article a long time ago. I find it so fascinating. Was that started to stop that behavior among law enforcement, and lawyers, prosecutors stopped. Not because the cops and the lawyers got better training, not because they became more sensitive to the needs of kids. No. It's because over time, more and more women became police officers. More and more women became prosecutors. More and more women became judges. And they don't put up with that. They treat a woman offender just like a male offender. And while a previous allegation may have just been swept under the rug, that detective, that female detective who gets that call from those parents, they're going to treat it just as seriously as if a man was doing it to a girl that age. And when that prosecutor gets that paperwork, she's going to prosecute it like a man doing that to a girl, doing that to a child of a similar age. That was this article's theory. They said there is a huge shift because the women cops, they understand that boy's not lucky. That boy was raped. And they're handling it as a rape case. What's funny is, as I was saying, and that's a pretty valid theory, because you can see a kind of slow uptick in the amount of women who are committing these offenses getting arrested and getting charged. A lot of the sentencing, though, was still 6 months. Serious stuff. They're raping these kids. They'd get 6 months, 2 years probation, something like that. Within the past couple of years, it's been big sentences. Not all of them, but like that woman getting 51 years, that was completely unheard of 10 years ago. Maybe even 5 years ago. Completely unheard of. They'd have to do some horrible, on top of what they're already doing, there'd have to be like a kidnapping charge or a violence charge for a woman to get that sentence. And we're going to start to see that completely be the norm, as it should be. There should be no difference in sentencing whether or not it's a male or a female offender. What's funny, though, is as I was telling you that, I do think there is one more big element to why more and more women are getting at least caught. Texting. All the evidence is there. It's no longer a he said, she said element. I was watching a video the other day and a woman texted a boy. They're texting each other back and forth. The police recovered 13,000 texts between the two of them over the course of like a year. So that also helps the prosecution. That also helps build the case where you arrest them. And that could be why we're seeing a continued uptick. But I do think it's because you have more women in the justice system. And there's more and more each year, right? And that's why I think we're seeing this uptick. Okay, last one. You're like, Jason, you're going to talk about aliens and drugs. Yes. And then you're going to go, oh, yeah. And then once on Live Leak, I saw a man explode as he's screaming for his mother. I actually did read, this is horrible. I'm not going to tell that story. I did read an article the other day about a guy calling his mom as he was dying. And it's sad, right? You're like, yes, Jason, don't just follow your initial instinct. Don't tell us the story. I will say this. It's odd what the human body can endure to do something super important. Well, here, I'll tell you the story. I don't hope it doesn't disturb you too much, but a man, I don't remember the specifics. I'll put the article in the show notes, but a man was involved in some industrial accident and he began to melt. Like some sort of caustic fluid had gotten all over him, or some sort of molten fluid had gotten on him, and he began to melt. The news article used the word melt multiple times. And there's an advertisement, the BK melt, the patty melt. I probably shouldn't make jokes. It's a sad story. But anyways, now I'm just thinking about jokes. I get visited tonight by a melted ghost. He oozes in from underneath the crack of my door. No, it's a sad story. This guy was a young guy. He's melting. There's some sort of industrial accident. He's melting. And even though he's dying, right? He knows he's not going to make it. He pulls out his cell phone and he calls his mom and he's talking to his mom. And he says, because I don't know if there's video of this, but other people were around. And he says, Mom, I'm dying. Sad, right? You're like, Jason, yes. He said you weren't going to tell the story. Follow your instinct. Sad, though. Right, to get that phone call. But again, there's something about men calling out to their mothers. That one was a literal phone call. I don't know if I'd want that phone call. I'll pick up my phone. That Tommy, there he is melting again. He takes a picture of himself. He's, that's my ringtone photo. And I go, no, put the phone down. I'm like, I'm sure he's fine. As I'm watching the news, he's, You're like, Jason, quit making fun of this guy. I'm not making fun of him. I'm making fun of me. Technically being a heartless guy. I don't know if I would want a phone call from my kid. But I'm not a parent either. Like, maybe they will want that phone call. If you couldn't do anything, if it was like, Mom, help me, right? She works at the water factory or something, then sure. But I don't know. Parent, I know a lot of parents listen to this show. Would you want to... Like, Jason, do not ask this hypothetical question. Do not ask if they want calls from their dying children. Okay, I will follow my instincts and not ask that one. But, yeah. Anyways, let's talk very briefly. Let's do it. We'll do it in a couple minutes. What would happen if aliens did drugs? I don't know. The end. Dead Rabbit Radio. No, just joking. It's interesting. They're asking this question online. What would happen if aliens did drugs? And really, everyone is spitting out a couple different theories. I'd be curious to hear your guys' theories. But kind of what everyone was in agreement on this thread was that it wouldn't work. A lot of people said human drugs, first off, they probably wouldn't work on a lot of the aliens as we know them in a because the chemicals may not affect them in any way, shape, or form. Now, you can give an earth animal different drugs and it'll affect them, but we're all kind of evolved from the same swamp. Would it affect an alien? Or would it affect them in the same way? If they did crank, would it go, oh, they're all freaking out, their eyes get even bigger, the gray aliens are, eating a bunch of strawberry ice cream at 3 a.m. Would it affect them in that way? What's interesting is some of the other people said, well, you know what's funny is that drugs to us, you got to grow and cultivate or make them in a lab. He goes, the aliens, if they have the technology we think they have, they could easily synthesize. He goes, most of the drugs are a chemical. And if you can synthesize a chemical, you know, if you can synthesize it quickly, you wouldn't need to come to Earth to get LSD from a street dealer. You can make it in a lab. I know you can make it in a lab here, but things like meth, even cocaine, you can synthesize it. It wouldn't be a big deal to them. They'd have unlimited amounts of cocaine. They said they'd actually be more interested in things they can't synthesize, really synthesize, because it's not super easy or not super chemically, like meat or milk. They go, they may actually make a journey for products like that, for like real meat. You can lab grown meat, sure, but it's not the same thing. If an alien made acid and used the same recipe we use here, it's exactly the same. LSD is LSD. Same thing with meth. It's a chemical. But human meat, cow meat, chicken, you would need to come here to get it. Otherwise, you would just have a replicant of that chicken or that cow or that human. So that's kind of interesting. And mildew, things that are organic here. But, you know, it's funny because one person brought this up and I go, that's probably true, right? The greatest mix of the two would be chemicals that humans produce. Something on the line of adrenochrome. Now we get back into this whole idea of humans being tortured to the point of fear of death, like they're really at the end of their life, and then you suck out the adrenochrome that is secreted by their... It's like an endocrine gland or something like that. It's been a long time. It's the base of the skull. It's been a long time since I've looked into it. With all this Jeffrey Epstein stuff, people are talking about the beef jerky. Have you heard about the beef jerky? They talk about beef jerky all the time in the Epstein files and keeping it refrigerated. And a lot of people go, they're obviously not talking about beef jerky. It's a code for something else. And the something else some people believe is baby brain. Or... It's disgusting, Jason. Stop it. Stop it. I was just sitting back imagining a reptilian smoking a joint, and then you're like, oh, that's so gross. Here's the thing. I gotta be honest with you guys. Imagine what I'm like in real life. It's exactly the same. You'd be in the middle of a conversation totally normal, and I was like, you know what? Hey, yeah, so did you hear about that guy who melted? He called his mom. People are like, what? Yeah, it's this, they go, the beef jerky's not beef jerky. And that's probably true. It probably is a code for something. They talk a lot about beef jerky. I love beef jerky. I eat it all the time. I actually went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor and he told me to stop because he thinks it's affecting my jaw. I eat that much beef jerky. I've probably never mentioned it in an email ever. No, that's not proof of anything, but... Anyways, it probably is a code for something. Is it a code for baby brain? I don't know. I certainly hope not. But yeah, they go, it's baby brain, adrenochrome-soaked meat. And that's what they're talking about when they're talking about beef jerky. I don't know if that's true. But I figured I'd bring it up. Super gross, I know. See, I still read. I'm not delving into the Epstein files myself so much. But I still read what other people are researching on them and stuff like that. But yeah, aliens might come down. I know adrenochrome can actually be synthesized. It is a chemical, but maybe it is more potent out of the fresh skull of a human. So that could be some sort of drug that would be worth making the trip for, especially if they were selling it. We've covered aliens and drugs on the show before, but that is an interesting theory. Like aliens, wherever they're here, whoever they're visiting, what they're doing, we don't know, but what would happen if they did get a hold of some earth drugs? If they did smoke weed? See, reptilian would probably be the most susceptible because that's fairly close to what we know. And then the Palladians or the Nordics, because they're human-looking at least. A gray alien, I don't think drugs would have any effect on them. There might not even be biological. They probably are, but who knows? They could be clones, they could be androids. If they're biological, it might have some effect on them. And insectoids, I mean, you could blow weed smoke at ants all day long, and it dopes them up. But when you're talking about an insect that's 7 feet tall, would a normal joint work? How would they even puff it? But that would be a cool get-together, right? You, an insectoid, a reptilian, a Pleiadian, a gray. You're like, don't fight Jason. Don't fight Jason. If he gets stoned, he's going to tell the most disturbing stories. He said he doesn't smoke weed, but I'm pretty sure his brain was melted from whatever drugs he took in college. And you guys will have a little smoke out. You'll tell me what's going on. You'll be sitting around passing it with the gray alien, and the gray alien's like, yo, wasn't there a movie like that? Seth Rogen in the movie Paul, weed smoking alien. And then the other guy's there. I don't remember. It's like 11. It's like close to midnight. This is supposed to be a half-hour episode. I was trying to come up with a funny ending, and I'm like, whatever. Go watch the movie Paul. Go watch the movie Paul and AI yourself into it. Do some AI prompts of you chilling with Paul the alien. What do you think? I'm curious as to, like, Jason, I think I'm going to stop listening to this podcast. I'm also really worried what the bonus episode is. If you thought this was like, oh, this is perfect. This is good stuff. What's on the episode that you go, I don't know if I should release this. Anyways, I love putting out content for you guys. I really do. It's a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys love it as well. Oh, we got some big updates. We got some big stuff coming up next week. First off, I don't want to reveal the name yet because I asked what name he wants to go by. We'll figure that out. But I will say this. One intrepid listener of Dead Rabbit Radio found the Gauntlet song. The Gauntlet song that Max Kramer recorded to sell his energy drink. If I told you what the song was like, you wouldn't believe me. It's so weird. It's beautiful in a way. But it just makes no sense. And there's only like 8 words in the 4-minute song. Because of course, right? What did you expect? What did you expect? But once I get that guy's name, we'll give him a shout out. That's awesome, right? We're talking about stuff. You guys are researching that. And also on a similar note, I wanted to give a shout out to, I'm sorry this is at the end of the episode. I'll give you another shout out later on, but AnonGuy4687, because apparently the episodes haven't been uploaded to Spotify, and he's letting me know. He goes, hey, it's not on Spotify. That helps. That helps so much because now I can figure out what's going on. So when you guys see stuff like this, so thank you, AnonGuy4687, and I'll give you a shout out that's not at the end of a episode. But I wanted to get that. I wanted to let people know if you guys see those problems, let me know. Really, really helpful because this is a team effort. It really is. I can't do this alone. So I really thank you guys for listening to the show, supporting the show. Hope to see you guys at the movie night, movie weekend this weekend. And there'll be a bonus episode coming out in probably like a day or two, probably tomorrow. But wanted to get a kind of, I can't believe this is another hour I have to edit, but I am glad I recorded it. I'm glad that I'm putting this stuff out, and I'm glad that you love it. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is at DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm so glad you listened to it today. Have a great one, guys, and have a great weekend.